Hi, my name's Nikki. I'm the Obsessive Bookseller, and welcome to my channel. Today we are talking about Project Sci-Fi. I mentioned my intentions for this in a video I filmed last fall, but this is my first year booktubing, and I did not take into account the fact that several videos can only go up at the end of the year and the beginning of the year, like goal setting, top 20 books I read that year or whatever. And so the project just kept getting pushed back further and further, and here we are, end of February, and Project Sci-Fi is a go. I keep almost calling it Project Urban Fantasy. In fact, I think I've slipped and accidentally called it that in other videos because my brain just does not function sometimes. But I did a Project Urban Fantasy where I listed where I was at in a bunch of series and kind of have this running pool of books to pick from. And I found it incredibly fun to just go into this already compiled list and choose something at random off of it. It's structured mood reading, and it's what I'm all about right now. In any case, at the end of that sci-fi video, I asked for recommendations on your favorite sci-fi novels, and I went through and carefully researched a bunch of them, and this is my compiled list. It's not a comprehensive list. It doesn't have everything I'm remotely interested in reading, but it has about the top 20 or 25 or so books that I am most interested in getting to sooner than later. And there are a bunch that are notoriously absent from this list, and it's probably because I've already read them. I've started the first book in several different sci-fi series and then ended up abandoning the series, so I'm really picky with this genre, a lot more than I thought I was. These are the titles that currently have most of my attention. The Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi. I've read his Old Man's War series and really loved it. The main character just kills me. Lord save me from old man jokes, but I loved every moment of it. I'm expecting a lot more of the same cheeky humor, awesome ideas, really fun, fast-paced plot, but in a more structured trilogy format, because the last couple of books of the Old Man War kind of went off doing their own thing. And so I'm really excited to dive into this author with the trilogy. Next is Alien Taste by Wen Spencer. And this one might be a stretch to put on this list because I think it's more of an urban fantasy. But for me, the line between urban fantasy and sci-fi is kind of a thin one. The difference is just kind of what we're dealing with. But basic story structures and conflicts, they're pretty similar, especially in the newer stuff. So I'm including this one on the sci-fi list. We'll see how it goes. I really like this author's Tinker, and the unconventionality of her is my favorite thing, so we'll see how that one goes. While doing my Sunday Shelfy series, I came across The Hidden Dragon by Irene Radford. It's book 1 in the Star God series, and I love the cover. I don't know anything about it, but I'm intrigued. Red Mars by Kim Stanley Robinson. One of the authors y'all mentioned to me, but it's also one that I've been shelving and eyeballing on the bookshelves ever since I started as a bookseller when I was 16. What little I know about this one is that it is quality enough to be considered a staple title for our bookstore for years. So looking forward to getting into that one. Valors Choice by Tanya Huff. Of the series that I've read, this screams of more the type of urban, I almost did it again. This screams of the type of sci-fi that I really love. And it's got a cover by Luis Royo de Butte. I really love the world building aspect of sci-fi because the universe is your oyster. You can do whatever you want. There are no rules on what can live where if you're really creative. I'm hoping this series has a lot of really good creature creation. Mutineer, the Chris Longknife series by Mike Shepard. There are a ton of books in this series, and I'm willing to give it a try. I have most of them on my shelves, and I'm hoping it's not one of those throwaway serial sci-fi where they just kind of repeat the same stuff over and over again. I can't tell just by looking at the covers if they have substance through the whole thing, but I'm willing to give it a go, mostly because I have them. Trading in Danger by Elizabeth Moon, the Vada series. I have yet to read anything by Elizabeth Moon, but I'm wildly intrigued by her stories. She's been around for a while, so an established writer. I'm curious to see where it all started. I have a hardcover on my shelves that I thought was a new series, but as it turns out, it's like the next step beyond the Vada series, Cold Moon, Cold Welcome. Probably the highest priority on my shelf, and the one I'm most interested in, is The Commonwealth, Pandora's Star by Peter Hamilton. Many, many of you have recommended this one to me, and I'm expecting something really expansive. I'm expecting great characters. I'm expecting all of the things I love about sci-fi in this series, and so I'm really excited to get to it. I think the length of it and intimidation factor on not knowing where to start has kept me from even looking at it for a long time, but yes, Pandora's Star is where I'm going to start, and I'm super excited about it. Also found during my Sunday Shelfie, Crystal Rain by Thomas Buckle from the Xenowealth series, and I was doing research on it. I thought it was a fantasy novel, like a swashbuckling, slightly futuristic fantasy novel, but no, like the cover is misleading even though it's gorgeous. It's a science fiction series, like world traveling and whatnot. So just for the pure bizarreness and the awesome cover, that one's on my list. Orphanage by Jason Buettner, one in the Wanderer series. I really like the cover. Murderbot might be rubbing off on me a little bit. It also gives me kind of a Master Chief feel. I've read a Halo book, believe it or not, but I really like the heavy military sci-fi, and this one, I'm getting vibes that it's going to be a little cheekier. I'm a little worried that it's also one of those that's a bit of a serial sci-fi, so cool ideas but not a lot of substance, a little bit of fluff, but that's just totally based on cover impressions and seeing how quickly the series came out when it was being published. So yeah, we'll see on that one. One of the few I'm continuing with, Endurance, Book 3 in the Stardock series by S.L. Veal. There are so many problems with the first two novels, but I love the alien surgeries. I love it. I think it is so cool, so creative. The author is a former military surgeon, so she knows what she's talking about. And yeah, I'm willing to put up with all the weirdness and the stuff that doesn't make sense and all of the really real problems that the series has to see what happens next. I'll make up my mind after this next one. Behind the Throne, the Indranin series by Wagers. This one went around fantasy buddy reads for a little while. People were talking about it and reading it quite a bit, and it put it on my radar. I hadn't even heard of it before. But enough people liked it to land it on this list. Another really high priority, We Are Legion, We Are Bob by Taylor. And anytime title has the word Bob, I'm totally on board. I think it sounds so much fun. The cheeky aspect, anything that can make me laugh but not be so over the top and stupid, has my attention. And I already own a bunch of these in audio, so this one's also one that's up the list a little bit higher. It seems right up my alley. Semiosis of the Duology by Suberk. Creature creation is my favorite aspect. I love the biological infusion, like the different ideas on what can happen in different parts of the universe. And haven't heard wildly amazing things about this series, but I still really want to read it. I think the idea is so cool. And that one, believe it or not, is also creeping up. The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. I have not heard a single person who has read this series say, oh, I just didn't like it. Like, people love this series. And I have to say, I've read Supernova Era by Cixin Liu and did not love it. Like, I feel like if the end of the world were pending, we should call this author for advice and ideas on how to get us through, because he's so creative. There are so many cool ideas. I also did the Wandering Earth compilation of short stories, and like, this author is on a different mind level than the rest of us, and it is so cool to see all these ideas. And this is hailed as one of the best bits of their work. So yeah, I can't wait to do it. I'm kind of braced because it's that visceral, evoking writing that doesn't pull any punches, and you got to be in the right mindset for that. So I will get to that one eventually. The Beldown Apocria series, which I am currently in the middle of, by Cameron Hurley. Speaking of gut punching, really visceral stuff, yeah, this is another one. And it's on my list. I'm probably going to continue at this point. I'm about halfway through this book, and I'm not 100% sold yet. There are sci-fi elements, but to me, this basically could take place on a decimated version of our world, just kind of like a futuristic urban fantasy, but wildly creative. One of the most unconventional authors I've ever read. So Her work is definitely on the list. And along with Light Brigade, that one's also on here. Big Ship at the End of the Universe by Alex White. A lot of the ones I've been really enjoying lately are kind of in this same vein. I love cruise ships, and it kind of gives me Becky Chambers vibes and a little bit of like early Expanse novels. And it sounds like they got a lot of stuff to do and they're going places, so I want to go with them and see if I enjoy the story. Nofak Gloss by Essa Hansen. This one's been popping up on my radar a lot lately. One of my favorite authors, Michael Mamet, who wrote Planetside, read it and left a pretty praising review for it, so immediately, like if your favorite sci-fi author really loves a sci-fi book, pay attention. Another one that I got from the comment section, thank you very much, Alistair Reynolds' Revelation Space. I know absolutely nothing about it. It's a classic fantasy, one of the few that got several comments talking about this author, so I will definitely give him a try. Another is Consider Phlebius, the Culture series by Ian Banks. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little nervous about classic fantasy. The few I've read have not aged well for me. I feel like the more modern stuff focuses more on relationships and character development, and that's something about storytelling that I crave and appreciate. And so just to get like a cerebral set of books that's more about the concepts, I still appreciate them and I would like to experience them, but they don't make me go, oh, I want to read that now. They make me go, oh, okay, homework. So in that vein, Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur Clarke, quintessential classic sci-fi. My husband read this one actually last year and quite liked it. He's in the middle of the second book now, so, you know, good endorsement there. The Space Between Worlds by Micah Johnson. It's a newer one, and I guess it deals with like multiple dimensions, and I don't handle those very well because I see the plot holes. My brain doesn't let go of the, oh, well that couldn't work because then this, and I cannot think that big picture, and so it hurts my little brain. But I've seen a lot of positive things about it, and I think it would be fun. It's a very character-driven novel from what I understand, and I think the concept is cool, so we'll go from that. Dune. I want to read Dune. I haven't read Dune. Before the movie came out and everybody read Dune, I got so many mixed opinions on Dune. I have customers who wildly love this series. Oh my gosh, everything Dune. Dune was life. And then I got just as many customers that said it was boring AF. So I'm not sure where I'm going to fall with that. I am willing to give it a go. I'm not as in a hurry to read it because I've heard so many back and forths on it. And I know, like when I mentioned my sci-fi thing, everybody, all of you, Dune! Read Dune! I hear ya. I'll get to it eventually. Foundation by Isaac Asimov. Of all the classic ones on my list, this is the one I'm probably most interested in exploring soon. Very high on the list, Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This author in general is very high on my list. People can't help but spoil what happens in this series, and so that's probably the only reason why I haven't picked it up yet. Like, I don't want to know anything about what's happening in this book or where it ends up, but somehow I know almost everything that happens in this book. And so, yeah, that is the reason why I haven't read it yet. But I'm very interested in this author. I want to pick up Shadow of the Apt. I want to pick up Guns of Dawn, Elder Race, like all the things. But sci-fi, that's first on my list. Starfish by Peter Watts. I don't even remember why I added this to my list. It must have been a comment where I went, ooh, that looks good, so that one's on there. And then the final two, Hidden Empire, Saga of the Seven Sons by Kevin Anderson. Also found during my Sunday Shelfy, where I've been hanging on to that book forever. I think the concept is so cool. Evidently, like Jupiter, our gas giants, there is life within them that we don't know about, which I just think is so cool. I want to know what happens. I hear his writing is a bit dry, but I'm prepared for that. My best friend once said, "You like really boring books." I think she meant really dry, like very slow. As long as there's a good concept and I like what's going on, I can handle a lot of plotting. But we'll see. We'll see if I like that one. And then finally, having more or less enjoyed my experience with the Dragonbone chair, but not overwhelmed enough to feel an extreme urge to continue, Based on recommendation, City of the Golden Shadow, book 1 in the Otherland series by Tad Williams. If nothing else, I appreciate this author's writing style. I think he's got beautiful writing, and he knows how to compose a good story. So, yeah, if the plot in this one clips along even just remotely faster, then I think I'll be on board. I'm really excited. Truthfully, I'll probably pick this one up before I pick up the second Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. So please don't yell at me. And that's my lineup for my project Sci-fi. I have either finished completely or abandoned so many sci-fi series that I am ready to start some new stuff. I feel like there's a clean slate now. I'm not in the middle of that much, so it's going to be really fun to maybe like once a month pick something off of that list and see where it goes. And the whole point of the Project Urban Fantasy, having it all in a list, which by the way I'll link below, is that if something new strikes my fancy, I can add it to it. But also, if I read like Foundation by Asimov and liked it, what I'll do is remove that one from the list and plunk in the second book. So when I'm just scanning through, I can quickly like get an impression of where I'm at with everything and pick on a whim. Like, oh, okay, I'd like to continue that one. Or no, I think I'm going to start something new. We'll see how it goes. And since I've already asked you all what your favorite sci-fis are and gotten that massively awesome list of feedback, thank you so much. What I'd like to know now is what sci-fi books are on your list that you're looking at that you haven't started yet. Thanks so much for joining me on this one, and I hope to catch you next time. Bye.